What is something serious going on in the world that a lot of people aren't aware of? France is opting to destroy an incredible massive coral reef in Tahiti. A whole ecosystem that takes so much time for marine life to develop. To build an aluminum judge tower for the 2024 Olympics. ITHK, this is disgraceful. Top soil quality. The Yemeni civil war. A war since 2014 with lots of bloodshed. Almost 400,000 dead. A crazy amount of superpowers and organizations involved from Iran, Saudi Arabia, Al-Qaeda and North Korea to the United States, France and Great Britain, with major economic and geopolitical ramifications at hand. The United Nations estimated 21.6 million people in the region need humanitarian assistance. It's crazy how underreported and largely unknown it is. The Paria diving incident in Trinidad and Tobago. A few months ago, a team of 5 maintenance divers were in an airlocked chamber fixing an oil rig pipe when something let go and all 5 of the men were pulled into the pipe. Only one worker made it out. The survivor's name is Chris. And as he was the least injured out of the crew, he promised he would attempt to make it to the surface and get help. He crawled and swam through oil, water and fumes. Along the way, Chris managed to find 2 oxygen tanks that had become dislodged from the workers. That's the only reason he was able to make it out. The others were trapped inside of the pipe for 2 days. Rescue teams were aware they were there. A team even went down and knocked on the pipe to determine the remaining crew's location. One of the trapped members eventually knocked back, and the rescuer who heard the knocking relayed the information that, yes, there was definitely someone alive, back to the surface team. The rescue was called off shortly after by Paria because it would have wasted too much money and they only have a few hours of oxygen anyway. The last person inside the pipe to die had made it 2 days. Not only a few hours, and died stuck behind the body of his coworker, while also suffering a broken foot in pitch-black darkness while having no other option but to breathe in fumes from the oil, which caused intense burning inside all of the crew members' bodies. This should have been a larger story. And people should be absolutely beside themselves at the fact that Paria made the decision to ignore the remaining 4 men and wait for them to die. But this story got pushed way aside because story of the rich people in the submarine made bigger headlines. YouTube has the full interview with Chris after the incident. And it has all of the recordings of what happened. One of the men even caught the moment where they'd all landed inside of the pipe and Chris asks everyone their location to him and if they're okay. 9 years after the Yazidi genocide, there are still thousands of Yazidi girls missing and enslaved. In Yemen, there's been the biggest humanitarian crisis of the world for more than 8 years now. Millions of people are without water, shelter, electricity. 80% are children. What critically acclaimed movie is hated now? Song of the South won Oscars and had one of the most iconic Disney songs in the last half of the 20th century. https www.youtube.com/watch v equals bxcaknh4unw. Now Disney has more or less scrubbed it completely from availability. The Blind Side. I haven't seen anyone mention Captain Phillips yet. Apparently the real-life guy was warned to take a much wider berth around the Horn of Africa, specifically BC, of the threat of pirates. But he wanted to save time and ope. What do you know? There were pirates. Apparently the crew was pissed the movie made him look like such a hero when the situation was basically his fault. The Birth of a Nation. Was an American Sniper critically acclaimed until they found out the guy made a bunch of it up? Crash, the Paul Haggis one. How is everyone affording life right now? I work at Costco and I buy all my stuff at Costco. Also, I have some Costco stock that pays good dividends. Also, I dumpster dive at Costco. I work a lucrative job that I hate doing. Finally got a good job. I'm in my 40s. Just got signed by the Dodgers. Literally just adequately enough to live, but not quite enough to fully enjoy life. Not eating out much. A new deli opened near me that I really want to try. But sandwiches are $20 before tax and beverage. So, no visit to the deli for me. What feels illegal, but isn't? Driving a car and having a police car behind you. Trying a free sample then walking away. Switching on the car light while your dad is driving. Going into a shop, asking the price of something, then saying nah I'm good then leave. Going to a store and then leaving without buying anything. Returning something broken for a full refund, even if you didn't break it. What is your, don't ask how I know, random fact? There's a guy in Germany who has a 1-year waiting list and makes 6 figures making leather harnesses and masks for people who like to roleplay as horses. Instead of pushing out a turd, just take deep breaths. Just breathe deep and low. Allow the deep breaths to push out your turd. If you're going to shove something up your butt, make sure there's something at the base so that it can't go all the way in. That 14 inches zucchini may look like a good idea at the market, but the earth at night might have to tell you it wasn't. A severed human head has a strange uneven weight distribution, so you better hold it tight or you will be known as the guy that dropped the head. Everyone here with the creepy crime stuff and I'm just a soft fur rat has 22 nipples. Old human bones are very porous, so if you lick them, they'll stick to your tongue. Killing someone by smothering them is not a foolproof way to commit murder, as smothering caused asphyxiation damages a specific capillary in the eye. The pathologist will check the eye and immediately pronounce the corpse a murder victim. And there are many people in jail around the world that did not know this prior to their conviction. What is something good going on in the world that a lot of people aren't aware of? Many endangered animal species are on the rebound now, such as the bald eagle, humpback whales and Schaus swallowtail butterflies due to increased conservational efforts. Global efforts to reforest areas are making a significant impact. The ozone layer is thickening. They're successfully rewilding beavers in the UK. Sodium-ion batteries might start replacing lithium-ion batteries soon, which would be much better for the environment and generally cheaper or more convenient. David Attenborough's still healthy. Those of you who swore, when I grow up and have kids, I'll be nothing like my parents. How did that work out for you? Well, as someone who learned young not to go to my parents for anything because they never took my side, I stayed true to that promise. No matter what bad things happened to me, it was always my own fault. My kids are adults now. They've always come to me with problems. I made it a point to treat them as individuals when they were kids, not my property or things that had to obey or else. Was I disappointed when boy got shit-faced at 16? Kinda. But then I remembered what I was doing at that age. Went and picked him up and let the hangover be his punishment. So glad he didn't try to stagger home at 2 a.m. like I felt I had to. It's given me empathy for my parents' failures because they are just people and I can see where the behaviors may have come from. Saying that, it doesn't mean I'm not still trying to do it better. My kids deserve the best of me. I'm also imperfect, but I'm trying to give them the best childhood I can. I think it's going well. I ended up going too far in not wanting to be my parents, who were emotionally neglectful, physically abusive and too strict, that I still kinda became my parents in a way. I never said no to my child. Gave him few boundaries. Always put his feelings and wants and interests first and did everything for him out of fear of him. ending up with the same struggles in adulthood as I did, out of fear of him feeling what I felt. As a result, my son grew up developing a whole different set of issues. Even though I thought I did everything right. Because at least I wasn't my parents. I needed, and still need, lots of therapy to handle my own demons, first to educate myself on how the human mind works and how generational trauma works. I had to relearn how to raise a child in a healthy, balanced way. It was extremely hard to admit to myself I was failing as a parent and ask for help, therapy, but it is almost impossible to break a previous cycle of trauma without it. Amazing. I have a fantastic relationship with all my kids. I've never used violence as a punishment. I've never belittled them or made them feel small. Now I've got polite, friendly children who are loved by all they meet. It's not difficult to raise a child with love and kindness. It's mad. The massive difference between my childhood and my kids. I was hit by a car at 7 years old, and yes, it was my own fault, but I wouldn't dream of leaving a 7-year-old unattended, let alone letting them wander the streets until dark. Turns out, I'm my parents 2.0 now with added features. I find myself using phrases I swore I'd never say. And I've developed a strange fascination with thermostats. Who knew that "don't touch the thermostat" would be my catchphrase? My mom often told me that she didn't want to be like grandma, and she turned out to be cruel, abusive, manipulative mom, exactly like grandma. I also don't want to be cruel, abusive, manipulative mom like my mom. So I don't have kid. Better end this cycle of abuse with me. Subscribe, my brothers.